I'm James Rinker, the digital community engagement journalist for the Keene Sentinel. The Keene Pumpkin Festival, based in Keene, New Hampshire, has grown throughout its 32-year legacy. What began as a small downtown community harvest festival turned into a worldwide record-breaking phenomenon. At its peak, the annual event was a significant resource for downtown businesses and raised thousands of dollars for area nonprofit organizations. But the city was put into the national spotlight in 2014 when several large parties outside the festival's footprint devolved into full-on riots, resulting in dozens of injuries and hundreds of arrests. A shadow of the original Pumpkin Festival returned to downtown Keene in 2017, featuring jack-o'-lanterns carved by area students, but no vendors or its iconic pumpkin tower. This much smaller iteration ran for a few years until the COVID-19 pandemic led to the cancellation of the 2020 and 2021 festivals. During this time, new organizers stepped up and worked to put on the Gathering of the Gourds Festival last fall. It's been nearly a decade since the last full-size rendition of the annual downtown event, until this year. Today, I'll be chatting with Mike Giacomo, Keene City Councilor and Board Chair of Let It Shine, about the return of the Keene Pumpkin Festival. This is Sentinel Sources. Mike, thanks for coming along today and taking the time to speak with me.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's kick it off with the basics. When and where? What's the festival footprint look like this year, and when is it taking place?
Sure. Well, it's going to be a larger footprint than, as you had mentioned, the three smaller festivals in 2017 forward, but it's going to be significantly smaller than the big ones of the past. So we're going to be shutting down all of Central Square, all the way down to basically around Railroad Square. Gilboa Ave will remain open, and that will be dealing with the traffic patterns at that point. But Railroad Street will be closed as well, and we'll be having entertainment in Railroad Square, entertainment at the gazebo at the head of the square, and then the rest of the main street will have people, vendors, pumpkins, and hopefully a lot of good times out there as well. And it's going to be on the third Saturday in October 21st, and it starts at 2 p.m. and goes until around 7 or so. We'll be setting up most of the school pumpkins the night before, so if locals want to come and check out the school pumpkins going up, they likely won't be lit yet, but if you'd like to see them go out, we can do that on the 20th. That'll be the Friday.
Awesome. Yeah, and so in some of our past stories that we've written so far, you've mentioned incorporating aspects of other festivals in the past, both the original festival as well as other organizations that put it on in the original's absence. So you mentioned school pumpkins. What else should people expect when they're attending the festival this year?
Well, we have our entertainment committee's been really putting in some great work coming up with various activities. So music will be at the head of the square in the gazebo throughout the day. We've got 3 bands playing there. The square will be used for an open community carving. So people can, families, they can bring their families or bring themselves and essentially carve their own pumpkins right there on site. We've got Elm City Compost Initiative's going to be taking all the guts away from us, and people will be able to do their own work right there on the square while listening to the music. The tower will be back. It is by far the most expensive aspect of the festival, but so many people said that it was really kind of the ubiquitous feature of the festival, and always has been. And so since it existed, it became the focal point of everyone's photographs and everything. So we really thought it was important to make sure that we brought it back. And so we'll be bringing that back. We have food vendors and craft vendors. They'll be lining the parking spaces up and down Main Street on the footprint. And then Railroad Square will have a variety of different entertainment activities going on. You name it, it's probably something similar to it there. Everything from witches dancing to, I think Moco Arts is going to be having one of their dance troupes there as well, doing some dancing as well. It'll be all sorts of activities happening in Railroad Square. We also have a costume parade for the kids just to kick off the event at 2 p.m. And then we'll have trick-or-treating and actually a scavenger hunt that a bunch of the local businesses, especially restaurants, have engaged in. So people can take their scavenger hunt card, go and find all the different items, the different places all throughout downtown. And then if they collect them all, they can hand it in and win a prize. And we've got some pretty good prizes there too. $250 to Granita for dinner, some ski passes. So a bunch of different things that have been donated to us that we'll be raffling off to the people that complete that. So yeah, and then there'll be a whole bunch of off-site stuff we're working with a lot of different partners. The Church at the Head of the Square will be doing a haunted house. We've got, it's the 100th anniversary of Main Street America Group, which is formerly NGM, so they're right down West Street across the street from the Sentinel, actually.
Yeah.
And they'll be having some activities out there and games. And then a good number of other businesses around have opened up their doors and are planning to do some events as well. So we're looking forward to it. There'll be no count. That is the one notable thing that we have removed from the festival.
Yeah.
And we didn't want it to be, we want it to be about the community. Sure, it's about pumpkins. It's called the Pumpkin Festival. But at the end of the day, it really, the pumpkins aren't doing anything for the festival other than drawing people in to look at them. So what we really want it to be about is the people. It's about our community. It's about making sure that the nonprofits that are selling food are going to benefit. It's about making sure the downtown merchants benefit. And it's about the whole region being able to come in and benefit. So we realized that breaking another Guinness record wasn't going to help us with that goal as much. And so we felt that it didn't need the competition.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you mentioned a little bit about the kids and the nonprofits that you're kind of partnering with. Has that been a year-long process of everything from vendors to, in the past you've donated these funds, the board, to these nonprofits? Could you elaborate more on what that partnership kind of looks like?
Sure. With the schools, we donate all the pumpkins. So we have some farms that have given us some decent deals on pumpkins. So we are acquiring the pumpkins from the farm, bringing them down, and then various distribution happens. Sometimes the schools will be bringing some of the pumpkins for themselves. But Let It Shine, it's the second largest expense of the festival. Pumpkins, turns out. So they're going to be bringing them up to the different schools around the region. We were limiting it to elementary schools. It's still predominantly elementary schools. If we have some left over, we've been branching out to some of the middle schools to see if they'd be interested as well. But that's how the pumpkin distribution will work. And then they all bring them back to the festival footprint after having carving activities or whatever organized by their usually PTAs or things like that. And they bring them back to the festival on the Friday. For nonprofits, that has been it's been somewhat of a longer process, but the Gathering the Gourds last year was our very, very, very small scale, no street closures, nothing. It was literally just, can we get people out onto the sidewalks, walking around downtown? And the answer was yes, in great numbers, and we were really excited about it. So we started working with the vendors back then because we did have a vendor area last year, just not food. So those vendors, some of them will be returning from last year. We've brought some new ones on. I think we had 50 or 60 vendors apply for spots for our craft vendors, and we had to select, I think, 14 of them. So it was a lot.
Yeah.
And then the food vendors are all going to be nonprofits, and they will be bringing whatever food they've signed up for. We tried very hard to make sure that everyone had backup options and things like that, because we wanted to make sure that we didn't have 10 people all selling hot dogs and nothing else. So we had to do some logistics.
Yes.
But we've got, I think, 12 or 13 vendors right now for nonprofits that are going to be selling their wares.
Awesome, great. And so thinking about in past years and this year with this larger footprint, also those offsite, it'd be remiss of me to not ask about safety, especially with the history of this festival. So what has the board and the college, because it's during parent family weekend, what are you doing to not only ensure the safety of festival attendees, but also those in the neighboring communities throughout the border of that footprint?
Sure. Well, one of the things that, this is kind of my double duty as a city councilor as well. One of the big things that the city requires for any festival of this size is protocol meetings. And we had our first protocol meeting, I think, 10 months ago. So we've been working really all year closely with the city services. So with Public Works for all the roads, with Fire Department for crowd control stuff, and with police for enforcement. So we've been working with them all along. The police are in touch with student safety. Campus safety. It's been a while. But with campus safety, with Keene State, so they've been making that coordination. And then I'll be reaching out on my own in the next 2 weeks, basically, as we're getting closer, trying to keep our ears to the ground and hear what, do we hear of any rumblings of things going on? I mean, gone are the days of, UNH and UMass and UConn busing people up here to party. Those days are behind us, and we're all thankful for it. But we know that obviously, people get excited when things happen in their town and they want to have parties, and we get that, and it's always been something that has happened. The question is just at what point does it become a problem? Mm-hmm. And we saw the problems in 2013, and then in 2014 they hit a critical point. Obviously, we don't pretend that it didn't exist. Yeah. We just try to learn from it. That's really where we're coming from. So we have working closely with the city on it, and that's really what we're going to be doing. We'll also have private security for overnights and things like that as well that we've hired on.
Awesome, great. And so thinking about working with those community services as well as the college, something that's been rumbling even from the very beginning from as a Harvest Festival is this growing tension between college age students in the community and residents of Keene. And I'm just wondering what you think that has kept our community so divided in those ways?
No, it's a great question. And it's, even better question now I'm sitting here at Keene State campus right now. But no, I think it's similar to any college town. I went to college in a very small town up near the Canadian border of New York, and the colleges were 50% of the population of the town, and so it's not unusual to have that friction. With the festival specifically, I think there have been some strides made recently. I know Dr. Treadwell has made a lot of efforts in her tenure as president here to really try to make that relationship work better. And I know Elizabeth Dragon, city manager for Keene, has done the same thing. And the two of them have a very good working relationship and have worked very closely over the last few years. The social host ordinance that went in, I believe there's I don't remember exactly what the name is, some kind of officer basically that's paid 50-50 by the school and the city as well. And so been working on ways to make that relationship a little less frictiony, if you will. Yeah. You can tell I'm a scientist. I use words like frictiony. But it's kind of it's something that everyone acknowledges exists, but it doesn't have to, but it's not weird. Yeah. So I think the best that really we can do right now is we can try to engage the college to come in and do stuff in the town proper, and then encourage people from the town to actually attend events on campus. Mm-hmm. Go in, the more that you cross over that threshold, the better the relationship becomes. And we hope the festival will eventually start doing that. We're hoping to get some more involvement, hopefully next year with Keene State and into the festival, especially with cleanup. That's always been a great help of Keene State, even during the bad year of 2014, 2013, 2012, we had the Pumpkin Dump Derby, which was fantastic, and we had a dozen different organizations come out and just haul pumpkins, sports teams, Greek life. It was great, and we'd love to have that engagement back again. Figuring out how to get those contacts now has been more complicated for us, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And so thinking about looking to the future of things, what do you think this festival is going to mean to not only those who are going to come obviously from outside of the region, it's leaf peeping season in New England, but also to those, like you mentioned, like keeping those community ties right here in Keene? Was this festival going to lay the land for, essentially?
What we hope to do, the whole point of this festival was to bring it back to its roots with some added features that we felt were quintessential. And that was our whole guiding goal the whole time. And so if the festival reaches, if it ends up being a festival that causes problems in neighborhoods, then we need to start rethinking again about what we're doing. It became unwieldy, is what happened to this, the size of the festival, the scope, and the Ferris wheel. For those that were around for the Ferris wheel, is the single moment at which I said, "Wow, this is probably more than we needed to have here now." And it was great. People loved the Ferris wheel because you get to look down all through down Main Street. It was incredible, but it was a shark jumping moment for the Keene Pumpkin Festival in my mind. And so what we want to do is keep it small. That's why we're not encouraging people to bring pumpkins. We're not going to turn people away, obviously. We can't stop you from bringing a gourd and placing it on a street corner. That's I don't think we have a law for that. So people are welcome to, but we're focusing it on the kids' pumpkins are the ones that matter. They're the ones that get super excited to go down and see their pumpkins. Yeah. If it starts impacting the surrounding neighborhoods more than an average festival would, more than Taste of Keene, more than Pride Festival, more than Music Fest, Ice and Snow, any of those ones, if it's significantly greater impact other than car traffic, then we need to reassess. We have an entirely new board right now. None of us were ever on the board back with the old festivals, or even during the 2017 to 2020 festivals. So we are really recreating this festival from scratch in a way that we hope will be sustainable. And that's sustainable for the neighborhoods as well as sustainable for the city, the downtown merchants, and for the college as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mike, for taking the time today again. And thank you for tuning in. I'm James Rinker, and we hope you join us for the next episode of Sentinel Sources.